What's happening, everybody? Welcome to the Farzy Show here at the actual Steven Singer Studios. My name's Marc Farzetta. I've missed you. I've missed you, and I'm speaking mainly to the comment section because I try to give you some fresh content every single day. My appreciation, my thanks, my hat tip to the great guys at Nasty Knuckles, Derek Settlemeyer, as well as Riley Cote, and Neil Little, if I may call you that, hanging out on the show Friday, hosting it. My manager called me and said, "Hey, your Nasty Knuckles friends, they want to party." And I said, "If they want to party, I'm not going to get in their way of partying." So they were kind enough to sit in on the show on Friday. I hope you guys enjoyed the 1-minute teaser I gave of the horse video. We will see that in its entirety tomorrow. There's just too much sports content to get to today in order to play you like a 4-minute piece of me on a horse. So we'll get to that tomorrow, and we'll have all the funsies there. I had a phenomenal time in Colorado. I did miss the interaction with all you lovely, amazing people, especially the comment section. Like I said, I had a great time out there. I crossed off the bucket list to catch out. I rode a horse for the first time since my dad's company party when I was like 12 years old. I don't know. But mainly I had fun watching the Phillies while I was out there, because the Phillies did a miraculous thing. And what a day. What a day for the sports fans of Philadelphia Sunday was. You had the Phillies go out there and just step all over the Mets and handle that business. You had Zack Wheeler out there on the bump just dealing with what Joe Girardi called the best start he's ever really seen from Zack Wheeler. We'll let you hear from Joe Girardi a little bit later in the show. Zack Wheeler himself saying that it felt like Roy Halladay had his hands on him in that game. It was incredible to see the start that you saw from Zack Wheeler. And then you have Phillies fans going over to practice for the Eagles for training camp, their 10th training camp session that was at Lincoln Financial Field, by the way. And I couldn't believe this when I saw it. I had to read it twice just to go, huh? Really? Look at this. From our friends there at Eagles Nation, part of PHLSportsNation.com. Let's go Phillies chants breaking out at the link right now. Life has come full circle. That is incredible in its own right. How about that? I'm thrilled. You know what I am? I'm smitten. I'm in deep smit right now with the Philadelphia sports scene. We're going to find out what's going to go on a little bit later in the day with Sixers Summer League, which I'm excited about. We're going to find out what's going to go on with Ben Simmons and all that. And you know what? I like most of the moves Chuck Fletcher has made in this offseason. But now you got the Phillies in first place after this weekend. I know a lot of times we joke about this. I know a lot of times we kid. Ha, ha, ha. I know a lot of times we do that. About the Phillies pushing you away and then pulling you back in. We joke about that a lot. I'm in, man. And I know a lot of people in the city right now. If there's "Let's Go Phillies" chants going on right now at the link, I mean, I don't think that's happened since 2011, 2012, maybe. The latter stages of Andy Reid's career here in Philadelphia. Michael Vick, the quarterback of the Eagles, things not looking so good in the year following his almost MVP season. People pissed as all hell at the Eagles, and the Phillies were still looking pretty damn good. That's it's been about 10 years, and it's also been about 10 years since we've seen the Phillies in the postseason. And right now, they are poised for first place. They're poised for the postseason as a first-place team by taking care of the Mets. Now the Braves are 2 games behind them. The Mets are 2.5 games behind the Phillies. Phillies did exactly what they needed to do this past weekend. Now here's the challenge. In the last few years of Charlie Manuel here in Philadelphia, I even with Ryan Sandberg, even with Pete McCannon, Gabe Kapler, and even last year with Joe Girardi, it felt like. And by the way, Greg Murphy is going to join us later in the show to talk about the Phillies on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Greg Murphy's going to join us to talk some Phillies. It feels like all those managers, including Joe Girardi, from Charlie Manuel now to Joe Girardi, it feels like you have had late season runs, talking about early August, where you've been in it. You've had the meaningful games in early August. And then, for whatever reason, the team just could not win a ball game to save their lives. It feels like in the second week in August, things have fallen apart. I remember with Charlie Manuel, the Phillies in his last 2 years here, one of his last 2 years here, the Phillies went into Houston with a chance to really clinch the playoffs, clinch the I think at least a wild card spot. They went into Houston to play the Astros, and the Astros were a pretty bad team at the time. and the Phillies couldn't win a game there, and they ended up losing out on the playoffs. Pete Mackanin, it happened towards the second half of the season, towards August. Gabe Kapler, it certainly happened. Last year with Joe Girardi, it certainly happened. Now this team is playing its best baseball in early August. The challenge for Joe Girardi, the number one thing for Joe Girardi, and it all, does it come down to players? Certainly, and them performing and them staying healthy? Certainly. But assuming all that actually happens, Joe Girardi keeping this lineup, hitting the way they're hitting, Joe Girardi keeping this bullpen and starting rotation the way it's going right now, it's up to Joe Girardi to make sure that this team continues to win. Whatever mojo they got going right now, it's up to Joe Girardi to make sure that this team continues to dominate the way they've been dominant over the last 8 games. 8-game winning streak, it's absolutely incredible. You love to see it. They're not going to win every game from this point on. But it's up to Joe Girardi to make sure they keep this high level of play from this point to the end of the season. Because that has been what has come back to bite the Phillies in the last 10 years. It's either they've been god-awful from jump or they've been in it mid-season and then things just fall apart in mid-August. This is the danger zone for the Phillies. Mid-August to the end of the season. This is when they've lost out on playoff runs. It's up to Joe Girardi to make sure this stays together. And look, you can look at Joe Girardi and you can criticize him a lot for the lineup gate earlier in the season by not having a player's name on the lineup. You can criticize him for how he's handled the bullpen. I've certainly had a lot of questions about that as well. Joe Girardi has been far from perfect. But the main reason he was hired was for moments like this. When you got it going, and now you just have to keep it going. This is what Joe has to do. This is what's supposed to separate Joe Girardi from Gabe Kapler, from Pete Mackanin, from Ryan said, just forget about, I even mentioned that name. And, of course, what happened in the last couple of years under Charlie. That is something that Joe Girardi is charged with right now in Philadelphia, is keeping the winning going. That's what he has to do. Keep the W's coming. Keep the check marks coming in the win column there for the Phillies. This was also just wild. Of all the things that happened yesterday, with the Phillies getting the 3-0 victory and all that, one of my favorite things that I saw during yesterday's game was this little tweet from our good friend Matt Gelb. Amazing. Zack Wheeler today, the Phillies' first pitcher to retire 22 consecutive batters in a start since May 29th, 2010, Roy Halladay's perfect game. And that is the day, and that's on a day when the Phillies honored and retired Roy Halladay's number 34. All the festivities that surrounded that, first up, every guy that talked during Alumni Weekend just raved about how much a class act the Phillies are in terms of honoring their past and honoring their own franchise's heroes. And this weekend was another shining example of that. When it comes to David Montgomery, when it comes to Manny Trio, when it comes to Roy Halladay, everyone that jumped in the booth to talk about the Phillies talked about what a class organization it was. Now, you might say, oh, well, of course, they're being honored themselves. They're being invited back. The Phillies are taking care of them. What else are they going to say? Well, I'll tell you what they're not going to do. They're not going to gloat. They're not going to shine. They're not going to beam with pride in the organization like they were if they didn't mean it in the booth over the weekend. And every single guy that stepped into the booth with T-Mac and whoever was in there was raving about what this Phillies alumni, what this Phillies organization does. And it makes you proud as a Phillies fan to know that they're at least taking care of their own the way they are. And listening to all the stories about Roy Halladay, it's an interesting thing because Roy pitched his last games here in Philadelphia and won a Cy Young here and pitched a perfect game in the regular season, like we just mentioned. And Roy Halladay went out there and pitched a no-hitter in the playoffs. We've had a lot of stories told right here in Philadelphia, even though it was a brief moment of his career that he pitched here compared to his years in Toronto. I feel like we've really learned a lot about Roy Halladay. And I know that can happen a lot when someone passes on and you hear the eulogies that happen for the man, you hear the tributes that happen for the man. I feel like we really got to know Roy Halladay in the time that he was here in Philadelphia. And that mainly is to say because he really ended his career here in Philadelphia. So I feel like we know more than a lot of people might think about an athlete that was only here for about 4 years. But one of the things that I always take away from Roy Halladay is the work ethic. And I think even more so than how dominant a pitcher he was. It's like you could talk about the numbers with him. You could talk about, like I just did, I highlighted the no-hitter, the perfect game, and all that. You could talk about the Cy Young Awards. But it's like that almost takes a back seat to the conversations you'll have about the work that he puts in there. And one of the number one things that I take away from Roy Halladay and that work ethic is that when Chase Utley was talking about Doc after he had passed away, Chase Utley had said that when he got to the Phillies clubhouse, the first season that they had Roy Halladay after they signed him in the offseason or traded for him in the offseason, the first thing he did was when he got to the clubhouse, he noticed that Roy Halladay's locker had already been like messed with. And sure enough, shortly after Chase Utley walks in the clubhouse, the hardest working man we've ever heard of, right? Roy Halladay comes walking in and he's drenched in sweat. He's already in his gym clothes, right? He's already in his workout clothes. He's drenched in sweat. And Chase Utley's just showing up. And he looks and he's like, oh my God, Roy Halladay's already put in his workout. and now practice is going to start. Now Chase Utley's warm-up's going to start. Like if you were outwork Chase Utley by that much, you're a pretty damn hard worker, if you know what I'm saying. And that's one of the first things that really pops to my mind when I think about Roy Halladay, the great pitcher, is what went into him being that great pitcher. And it's the work that went into it. And I'll talk about a story that Rich Doobie talked about that I'll mention when I have Gregg Murphy on the show, which was the amount of information Roy Halladay wanted before a game versus the information that Cliff Lee wanted before a game. And it's not to rip Cliff Lee. It's just to highlight that these guys are very different. If you heard Rich Doobie talk about that, the former Phillies pitching coach in the booth yesterday with T-Mac and company, with Mike Schmidt and Jimmy Rollins in the booth as well, you know what I'm talking about. It's a great story. It tells you how different pitchers and really any athlete can really be. But Phillies go out there and take first place over the weekend. Hope you enjoyed every ounce of those 3 games. They showed fight. They showed resiliency. And best of all, they showed that they can be the best team in the NL East and right now, or in standings right now, in first place in the NL East. This is what you wanted to see at this point in the season. And I can't believe it. And now, here's the thing. You're going to have Max Scherzer come back into Philadelphia tomorrow, Tuesday, to take on Aaron Nola. Phillies get an off day. Yeah, Max Scherzer coming back. He's already had his way with the Phillies a number of times with the Nationals. This will be his first start against the Phillies with the Dodgers. You thought you were going to be able to sidestep Max Scherzer for the rest of the year. Not the case. Thank you very much, Washington, for trading him out there shortly before they were going to play the Phillies. But here's what you need. I had said, even with Kyle Gibson getting here, and I'm happy that he's here, and that's great. I'm not dismissing that. Even with him being here, there's still no better addition you could make to this rotation than Aaron Nola being that Cy Young Award candidate that we have seen him be in years past. If he is that guy, and then you have, after Nola being that guy, you have Kyle Gibson, you have Zach Wheeler, you have then Zach Eflin coming out in the rotation once again, and then you round it all out with Chase Anderson. Guess what? You're going to make the playoffs, and you're going to win this division. And right now, it's really the Phillies' only real chance of making the playoffs and finally putting the kibosh on the 10-year, decade-long streak of missing the postseason. This is the big test for Nola tonight. Bats have to stay hot. They have to find a way to get to Max Scherzer. I don't know if Joe Girardi is going to be needling, poking, annoying, agitating Max Scherzer any more than he was in the last time that he pitched here at Citizens Bank Park when Joe Girardi said, hey, umpire, you mind checking him out again? He might be going to his hair a little too much. Might be wiping his head just a little too much. That's you never know. I don't put it past Joe Girardi even a little bit to get that ball going. But bottom line is, bats need to stay on point like they've been. Gene Segura is just playing. Gene Segura is playing with the flair that I want Gene Segura to play with. And Gene gets the home run in the game yesterday. And you could tell there was a little extra stank on it because you see him rounding first. And T-Mac was all over it with the call on NBC yesterday. Gene Segura belts it in the left field seats. Running down the first baseline, still holding the bat. And you could see him turn around and face the dugout after the ball cleared the wall. And he just was like, yeah, let's go, like that kind of thing. And you saw the emotion that was there. You saw how much this Phillies team is into it. And I just hope they can keep it going. And again, it falls on one man's shoulders. And that's Joe Girardi to keep this going. This is the ultimate test for Joe Girardi. Between now and the end of the year, Joe, keep it going, keep it together. Make sure these guys have that same fire. Make sure they have that same enthusiasm. And if you see it start to wane a little bit, it's baseball. As they say, it's a game that has a way of humbling you every once in a while. You got to find a way through it. You got to find a way through that wall. When eventually that wall hits, Joe's got to be the guy head first through it, saying, follow me, boys, and you got to go through that wall. JT Realmuto's got to continue to hit, and Bryce Harper has to continue to put himself in that MVP race category and conversation as the season goes on. They do all that. Postseason baseball, bet. Postseason baseball. Also, this was I found interesting. Steve Cohen, owner of the Mets, he's an art guy. He owns the baseball team, the Mets. He just visited the clubhouse. This is before the game. They are ready and in a good frame of mind for this game. Mets went on to lose 3-0, but I'll tell you this much. That guy, Pete Alonso, first baseman for the Mets, who's pretty good at baseball, he had a message to Mets fans that we'll show you in the Morning Rush segment. And I want to know from some people, if you've seen this, hit me up in the comments and just let me know what you thought of it. Because when I saw it, I just kind of looked at it and went, I'm sorry, what? What is that? Huh? It was awkward. I'll just say that. By the way, you know what was funny? So my wife's family reunion, good times and all that. My brother-in-law got sick. My mother-in-law got sick. My wife is like coughing like you wouldn't believe. And none of it's COVID, fortunately. People tested, no COVID. That's great. Or Delta variant, any of that. And then a little bit, not so much. Just I got like a little side order of whatever the hell they had. So that was a fun part of the Colorado experience. Going out there for the fresh air, going out there for the Colorado, the Rocky Mountain, fresh air, and everyone got sick. Good times. Good times. Eagles practice at Lincoln Financial Field yesterday. From all reports, Jalen Hurts, very shaky. Not what you want to see. All reports, Alex Singleton. Good to have him back on the field. Of course, friend of the show, Alex Singleton, been on once or twice. I actually reached out to Alex and said, hey, man, hope all is good. He said he was asymptomatic. And Alex Singleton, Eagles linebacker, there's an 11-yard hallway in his home. He showed us around the Singleton compound the last time he was on the show. It's a lovely home in California. And he was running sprints in that 11-yard hallway to try to stay in shape while he had COVID. He tested positive, apparently was asymptomatic, and now he is back on the practice field. He was there at the link yesterday. Apparently he was plugging some gaps, filling the holes, making sure Miles Sanders wasn't breaking free on any big runs. But the star of the show yesterday was Quez Watkins, of all people. Quez Watkins, wide receiver. You haven't really seen his name too much. Had one nice play from Jalen Hurts last year. I believe it was against Arizona. But this particular practice, Jalen Hurts throws up a 50-50 ball to Quez Watkins, who's not 6'4", by the way. He's barely 6 foot. And he goes up and gets it. And brings it down in the end zone for the touchdown, much to the delight of the crowd there at Lincoln Financial Field. It was pretty awesome to watch that play over and over again in different highlight reels on social media yesterday, and I know the people are really excited to see that football team play. And, of course, the stakes are always higher. I thought this was an interesting tidbit as well that came out over the weekend. Our friend Adam Kaplan, Inside the Birds podcast. Make sure you always check that out, Inside the Birds podcast with Adam Kaplan and Jeff Mosher. Good to be back in studio. Let me tell you about my friend, speaking of the studio, let me tell you about my friend Steven Singer of Steven Singer Jewelers. Ladies and gentlemen, do what I do for all your big jewelry purchases. Go see my friend Steven Singer, the other corner of 8th and Walnut, right in Philadelphia. That's the other corner of 8th and Walnut. Use the appointment scheduler, of course, on the IHateStevenSinger.com website. Sign up. And go to Steven Singer Jewelers for all your big jewelry purchases. And here's the best part. No haggling. every day set at the perfect price. It's like, oh, is there going to be a sale on diamonds? Sale? Every day is the sale at Steven Singer, thanks to the perfect price. So when you go in there, the only pressure that there is picking the ring that you want. And guess what? That pressure is even alleviated simply because you have a real jewelry expert standing by at the ready, looking to help you out for your big jewelry purchase. Ready for Love diamond engagement rings ready as well to make it even easier for you. They have it open right there. Boom. They open it up. They check it out. When I went there for my engagement ring, they said, hey, let's at least show you. Let's at least show you the Ready for Love diamond engagement rings. And I said, well, you know what? How about this? I'm ready for love. And they open it up. And I was like, you know what? Not for me. Let me see what else you got. And then they bang, million other options. It was fantastic. Every single time, Steven Singer Jewelers. IHateStevenSinger.com. The other corner of 8th and Walnut right in Philadelphia. I'm excited about the Phillies. I'm excited about the Eagles, as you should be too. Let's break down the Phillies, the first place Phillies, with my good friend Gregg Murphy, the Phillies pre and post game host on the radio, so you can check him out there. And also, you'll hear it here as well. Glove stories with Murph. Without further ado, let's jump on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. Right now on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. On all honesty, folks, one of my favorite people to ever be in the business here in Philadelphia. Right now, he is your pre- and post-game radio host of Phillies baseball. You know him from the Phillies, of course. You also know him from Glove Stories. That's Glove Stories with Murph. The episode that's running right now on that podcast is with Jamie Moyer. Ladies and gentlemen, Murph himself, Gregg Murphy. What's up, Murph?
Farzy, good to see you.
It's great to see you,
Thank
man.
you.
Absolutely. I mean, tell me what it was like. I mean, you're down there, pre- and post-game host, obviously, for radio for the Phillies. The vibe just seems to be amazing at Citizens Bank Park right now with the Phillies winning 8 games in a row.
You know what? I'll tell you what. It got better each night. Now, it was a special weekend down there. They honored David Montgomery on Friday. They honored Manny Trio on Saturday. And, of course, Roy Halladay's number was retired on Sunday. But the walk-up traffic on Friday night, coming back from the 5-game win streak, and they had a certain number of tickets that they had sold ahead of time. But that night, Friday night, they sold about 9,000 tickets walk-up, and the place was buzzing. And, of course, you win the game against the Mets. The win streak continues, and each day it built and built. Sunday, yesterday, was just absolutely on fire at the ballpark. I mean, it reminded me back in the days of 2009 and 2010 and 11, when the ballpark was just rocking, you could feel every pitch, everyone living and dying with everything. So it was so much fun, and kudos to the Phils because they took care of business in front of that huge crowd. They went out and did exactly what they needed to do, and the win streak continues.
Now, you mentioned the 9,000 that walked up. There is something about a walk-up crowd in baseball that just makes me think of the days of the vet. Like anybody, it feels like almost any day you could go to a game, but this is to go to a game to see a really good baseball team. But why is it all of a sudden a really good baseball team to watch? What needed to happen for this team to gel, get healthy? What was it that made this team play at the level they're at right now?
You know what, Farzy, that's a great question, but I do think there's there's an answer to that question for this particular team. And I think ultimately it's because right now and over the last couple of weeks, the stars are playing like stars. Guys like Bryce Harper and JT Realmuto and Zack Wheeler and Gene Segura, these guys who are making the big money, have the big contracts, are playing up to those contracts. They're playing terrific baseball right now. And, of course, the role players, which we've talked about a lot over the course of this season, guys like Ronald Torreyes, guys like Brad Miller, they're stepping up in huge situations. And you kind of need both of those things to happen in a 162-game season to be successful in Major League Baseball. And right now, that's exactly what's happening for the Phillies. And I do think there's one other thing. We're on this 8-game win streak right now. Kyle Gibson and Ian Kennedy come over in the trade deadline. Not huge names, not the biggest splash that you could make, but that's exactly what this team needed. They needed a really reliable starting pitcher. They needed some depth in the bullpen, a back-end bullpen guy. The front office goes out and gets those guys, infuses them into the clubhouse. And I think the clubhouse is like, all right, Kyle Gibson won that first game in Pittsburgh to start this streak. And I think the rest of the team looked around and said, we've got ourselves another bona fide starter here. And I think that energized them as well. So, it's a couple of things, but I think, it's all kind of coming together right now. And this is when you want it to come together, not in April and May, but in August and September. And so it's happening for the Phils.
I go back to the latter stages of Charlie Manuel's career here in Philadelphia. Ryan Sandberg, even Gabe Kapler, Pete McCannon in there as well, and now Joe Girardi. It seems like every single year, or almost every year, there has been meaningful games in early August, and then middle of August, it all falls apart. Yeah. And then September, it falls apart. Yeah. What are you looking for from Joe Girardi in the last month plus, last 2 months of the season, really, to see if he can keep this team together and playing at a high level?
Yeah, well, I think Joe Girardi's a part of it, but I think an even bigger part is the health of the players, first and foremost. I mean, you got to stay healthy. You're looking around baseball, and guys are dropping like flies, and the Phils have their, injury issues as well. So you really need your key guys to stay healthy. But for Joe Girardi, first of all, Joe's been there before. He's done this before. He's won before. And, in years past, the Phillies got out to hot starts, in the years with Gabe and with Pete, and then the dog days of summer hit, and it gets more difficult to win later in the season. And that's when those teams started to peter off, and there were teams coming up from behind, and they were, being pursued. This year, they're the pursuers, and at least they were this week. And I think there's something a little bit different about, having to look over your shoulder than having to, look up and try to be chasing someone, especially when you get to play them face to face like they did the Mets. So I think they were in a little bit of a different situation as they kind of tried to chase down the New York Mets. The Mets aren't playing good baseball. They saw an opportunity and they took advantage of it. Now it's incumbent upon them, as the Atlanta Braves are right there in the rearview mirror. So they've got to continue to take care of business and make sure that they, when they're playing really good teams, play well and win their fair share. And when they're playing bad teams, put the foot down on the throat. That's what they've got to do.
No question. To move on to some items of the past, obviously. You mentioned all the people that were honored down there at Citizens Bank Park over the weekend. And then Roy Halladay, of course, was honored on Sunday. Yeah. And Zack Wheeler goes out there and gives a dominant performance. They're pitching for the Phillies. And after the game, Joe Girardi said it was a Roy Halladay-esque performance. Murph, when you look back on your time as you're covering the Phillies right now, again, radio pre and post host for the Phillies, what jumps to mind when you think about Roy Halladay?
Just absolute dominance at his best. I covered those teams that were when Roy first got to Philadelphia. Obviously, I was covering 08. I covered 09 when Roy first got to Philly. And you watched him. I was a reporter at NBC Sports Philadelphia at the time, and covering them from afar. And you'd watch Roy Halladay do what he did, and it was you just marveled at the way he went about his business, the kind of teammate he was, the kind of leader he was in that clubhouse. He was all of those things. And then I joined the team in 2012, and that was really the decline of Roy Halladay at that moment. That's when he started really to start having his issues and really fighting against his body, and we learned later his mind. But even in those times, even when he was struggling out there on the mound, he still was a guy that everybody kind of turned to in that clubhouse for advice on how to get their work done, and how should I be handling this situation, and how do I do this? And Roy was always there. And for us as members of the team media, could not have been more available to us. If he said, look, I'll do an interview with you. You want to do it Tuesday? We'll do it at 5:44. He was there at 5:43, 45, putting the microphone and sitting down, because that's the kind of guy he was. And that's what, short of being a tremendous Hall of Fame pitcher, what I remember about Roy is just the way he went about doing his business, because he wanted perfection all the time. And that's what he strove for.
Mm-hmm. And that's certainly something that I know a lot of people will look on when they look back on his career. The dominance, certainly the work ethic. And then Rich Doobie told a wild story when Cliff Lee and Roy Halladay both came to Philadelphia. Obviously, it wasn't at the same time. They later were here at the same time. But he said he went up to Roy Halladay and he's basically said, what do you need from me as a pitching coach? And Roy Halladay said basically everything. I need to sit down with you. I need to go over film. I need to go over books. I need to go over numbers, stats, and everything. And then Cliff Lee comes to town, and it's like, hey, Cliff, what do you need from me? And he's like, nothing. Don't even talk to me.
You know what? And if you're going to claim one of them, if you're Rich Doobie, you'd be like, yeah, I worked a lot with Roy Halladay. Why not? Right?
He was good when he got here, but I gave him the tweaks he needed to win another Cy Young Award.
Exactly.
You talked about the atmosphere at Citizens Bank Park, and you were certainly there during some amazing runs here in Philadelphia. Does it feel like that buzz is back in the building? Because I always, more so than any sport, for whatever reason, in baseball, when you have a hot team, it feels like you walk into a cloud of amazing atmosphere when you walk into CBP. Can you feel that when you walk through?
Yeah, I did this weekend for sure. And This was the first weekend we really felt that. I mean, we had a big crowd when the Yankees were in town. We had 36, 37, but, probably 15 to 20 of those folk, well, maybe not that many, but there was a good contingent of New York Yankees fans there. There was a big group of Mets fans over the weekend at Citizens Bank Park, but you wouldn't know it if they hadn't been wearing their blue because you couldn't hear them. They were drowned out by the Phillies fans, and for the first time in a long time, it really has been a long time, that we felt that energy in that ballpark. I'm telling you, it was so much fun to be a part of it this weekend. And, hopefully, we're going to go into the week now and the Dodgers are coming to town. The crowds will be less for sure. That's just the way it is. But hopefully come next weekend, if they play well against Los Angeles and, the excitement continues to build in Philadelphia, they'll be able to pack the ballpark again when the Reds come to town because they're big games. They're good teams coming in. It's going to be difficult, but we need to keep that energy down there at the ballpark because the players, they feed off of it. There's no doubt about they feed off of it. They've talked about it. So, but yeah, to answer your question, it was so much fun. You couldn't help but get excited about it for sure.
No doubt. When you're looking at this matchup coming up here, Max Scherzer, Aaron Nola has been up and down throughout the years. Last couple of starts, hopefully able to put that together. I just hope that the influence of another veteran pitcher like Kyle Gibson and already Zack Wheeler being here and him being great all season long, I mean, that can only help Aaron Nola, no?
Yeah, no, I think that's absolutely true. No one works harder than Aaron Nola. I mean, he's out there trying to get it straight because it hasn't been good for him this year. He's been really good at times and he's been not good at times. And, when you're being relied on at the top of the rotation kind of guy, you need to be good more often than not. And it's been more like 50-50 for Aaron right now. I know he's frustrated about it because you see flashes and he knows he still has the stuff, but for whatever reason, he hasn't been able to put it all together. I started off the conversation talking about the stars need to play like stars for this team to get to where they want to go. They need Aaron Nola to be Aaron Nola, Aaron Nola circa 2018, 2019 and pitch like that. And so another, big outing for him coming up. And you mentioned Max Scherzer, of course. You get Max Scherzer, he heads out to LA. You think finally he's out of the division. We don't have to worry about him. And of course, for first time back, here he is. But should be a lot of fun. But Nola can pitch like an ace, and we've seen it. We've seen it a lot, but we need to see it consistently down the stretch. So, like I said, I know he is spending a lot of time in the bullpen, working on side sessions, working with Caleb Cothran, trying to figure it out. And you know what? As a Phillies fan, you hope he does, because if he does, look out, because then you get Zach Eflin back too. I mean, it really could be something special.
I'm going to set the line at 1.5. 1.5. All right. Over or under 1.5. How many times Joe Girardi asked the home plate umpire to check Max Scherzer?
I would go well over. I hope it's 6.
Yes.
I hope he asks him once in any, because if there's one thing about Max Scherzer, and he's a world talent. I mean, he's so good, and he is. But you can get to him. He allows things to affect him. We've seen Odubel Herrera get inside Max Scherzer's head. Odubel Herrera, for goodness sakes, right? But he'll step out, he'll call time in the middle of his, and it drives Scherzer nuts. And little things like that. And don't think that Joe Girardi doesn't know that, and don't think that this Phillies team is not talking about that, because look, you need any advantage you can get it against a guy like Max Scherzer. So yeah, it wouldn't shock me if they said, hey, take a look, maybe one more time than they need to. So we'll see. I'm all for it.
First pitch. Yeah. Hey, get out there.
Yeah. What's going on over there? Yeah.
How'd you beat Max Scherzer? We annoyed the hell out of him. That's how we did it.
Hey, whatever
Marc,
it takes.
I don't know if you and I have ever talked about this, but I want to, just for the good people that aren't following you on Twitter already.
Wait, which picture are you going to talk about?
Both of them, because both of them are incredible. However, I don't know if you and I have talked about this, my friend. The picture, what do you call it? Your cover photo with you, on the what do you call it? The zip line?
The zip
in
line,
Atlanta. Yeah, in Atlanta's new ballpark. Do you know where that picture came from?
Like who took it?
Do you know who took that picture by chance?
I honestly don't.
You remember how you acquired the photo?
I don't know that either.
Because I'm going to tell you something, my friend. Now, of the two of us, I'd call you a reporter. I'd call me a jackass. But anyway, I remember watching the game, Phillies Braves, and here comes Murph on the zip line, full spread down the zip line. And Ben Davis, friend of ours, was doing the show, doing the game, I should say. And I go, this is exactly what I needed to see. And I snapped the picture. I didn't have your number at the time, so I sent it to Ben.
Kidding.
And I swear to you, I don't know how many pictures exist with you on a zip line spread eagle. I mean, I didn't know you in college.
More than I should, but
but I snapped it and I took it and I sent it to Ben. And I forget what I said exactly, but he just goes, oh, that's hilarious. And then next thing I know, years later, I'm like scrolling Twitter and I just happen to see your profile.
Farzy,
Boom.
it could very well be your picture. I honestly have no idea where that came from. I've done so many silly things, so many cool things, to be honest, but silly things over the years. And I get, so many people send me pictures and, but I love that picture. It always cracked me up. So
all I'm saying is
Photo
about
credit.
me, allegedly, I'm saying, does that make it? Allegedly, I'm allegedly saying that I sent it to you. There we go.
Well,
allegedly.
You know what? For now on, if people ask me, I'm going to say, yes, Marc Farzetta sent me that picture. Yeah.
From Glove Stories with Murph, obviously pre- and post-game host on the radio for the Phillies. You can check him out right there, Mr. Gregg Murphy. Murph, thank you so much, brother. Appreciate you.
Always good to talk to you, Farzy. Thank you.
My man. Gregg Murphy joining us on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. My good friend, Gregg Murphy joining us there on the Rothman Orthopaedics guest line. I did go back. On my texts with Ben Davis. And wouldn't you know it, I did send the photo. Now, here's the thing. I can't be 1,000% sure as my picture just goes bonkers right now. Miss Guzzi, hopefully the audio is good. And I sent the picture with the tag on it saying things I didn't need to see today. And yeah, that's that apparently was exactly that. That is exactly what I showed with my friend there, Gregg Murphy of Phillies pre and post game fame. And yeah, it was Zipline. Who would have knew? Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, my good friends at Rothman Orthopaedics, when you have orthopedic issues, you need a physician who eats, sleeps, and breathes orthopedics. You need an exceptionally specialized Rothman Orthopaedics physician. They not only specialize in orthopedics, but each of their physicians only focuses in on one area of the body, which means you can have the confidence to get past the pain and be what you were. Visit them in one of their 30-plus locations in PA and New Jersey, including 4 orthopedic-only urgent cares. Learn more at RothmanOrtho.com. That's RothmanOrtho.com. And let me tell you about my friends at Steak and Maine and SteakandMaine.com. Don't forget, October 10th, they got the Cannoli Festival going on. 10,000 cannoli they're giving away. That's right, 10,000 cannoli or cannolis for the Medigans out there. Steak and Maine fine dining in the heart of Northeast Maryland. Whether you dine in a more upscale steakhouse or casual bar and patio, you'll enjoy the highest quality of prime meats, fresh seafood, world-class oyster bar, and freshly prepared sushi. All that in an extensive wine list, including their own Cavada Cellars wines. Open every day for lunch, dinner, and Sunday brunch. Steak and Maine in Northeast Maryland voted #1 place for steaks in America by the Travel Channel and the Cooking Channel. Check it out for yourself. Go to steakandmaine.com for more information. That's going to be, by the way, at the Rim Cafe, that 10,000 cannoli giveaway, the Rim Cafe. That's right there. It's by Pat's and Gino's down there in South Philadelphia. So you guys can enjoy all that they have to offer. And what are they offering? 10,000 cannoli, people. How about our friends at PHL Sports Nation and PHLSportsNation.com, enhancing your Philadelphia sports fan experience across blogs and all social media. Make sure you check out PHLSportsNation.com. That's Philadelphia Sports Nation.com. So make sure you enjoy all that they have to offer as well. So make sure you enjoy all that. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a while. Without further ado, let's check in with our social media check-in brought to you by our friends at Steak and Maine and SteakandMaine.com. It's been a week since I've seen all you guys. This will take a minute. It's take a minute because I got to make sure I say what's up to all you fine people. Dan Schwartz, of course, you're leading off playing center field for us here today. Dan Schwartz, how you doing? Hey, Phillies start losing. It's back to Colorado for you, Farzy. Oh, and good morning, all. I'll gladly go back to Colorado. I'll ride a horse. I'll catch another little brown trout. I'll hope to catch his bigger brother, as we like to joke in the fishing world. That's fishing humor for you that don't know. Yeah, I agree with you. Let's see. Hannah. Hi, Hannah. Hannah Smith checking in saying, what a Phillies weekend. You damn right, what a Phillies weekend. No sport is more important than horse content. Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. Kevin's checking in. Wheeler was next level. Wheeler was next level. And I'm trying to get for you the clip, and I think I got it here, of Joe Girardi talking about how dominant Zack Wheeler was yesterday, because he was just that dominant. And I think I have it somewhere. Yeah, I'll be able. Oh, that's too ginormous. I'll have to get that to you later in the show. I'll get it to you later in the show. I'll find a way to get that real good content that y'all's people are craving.
Best outing.
Yeah, there. Okay, good. I'll have it for you a little bit later in the program. Do I have that? I will have it. There we go. To all the people in the chat, once again, yeah, there it was. Okay. Let's see what else we have here. Wheeler was next level. Wheeler, I loved what he said after the game. He said that he felt like he wanted to honor Roy Halladay with his performance, and he certainly did that yesterday afternoon, I should say. Jason's checking in. Good morning, all. Good morning, all. How about that Phillies team? Wheeler came out on a mission. He really was keeping guys off balance. And 22 consecutive batters. 22 consecutive batters were retired. And also, I thought another great tribute to him after the game was when Joe Girardi said he was going out no matter what in that ninth inning. He was going out no matter what in the ninth inning. And he said that he would have pitched him out for like 150 pitches with the way he was throwing the baseball yesterday. That's what you want to hear from your manager, acknowledging when your player is that much on fire. And I don't know what's going on with this picture. For the podcast people, I'm just letting you know this picture's it's all my fault. I'll just let you know that. It's crap right now. Wheeler's next level. Kevin's checking in. What's up, Kevin? Awesome year. Absolutely. Jason's checking in. Good morning, all. How about them Phillies? Let's see. Kevin. Brian. What's up, Brian? Didn't see any difference in Girardi's managing system. Only thing it's been different is Marc's smoked a ton more weed. Must be that. Dan Schwartz, thank you again. I haven't done it yet, but at some point I will send some of these comments to my old college roommates who will just laugh their asses off, because they know me as more of the passer than the puff passer. You know what I'm saying? Just pass. Luigi, what's happening? Well. Greg Murphy's now a weather girl. No, he's not a weather girl, Luigi. You thirsty bastard, you. Dan's also back. Dan, Brian, what's going on? Good to have you back in. Rob, has anyone seen Benny? Are we still on the lookout for Benny? I know that some people were looking for Benny, and we haven't found Benny in quite some time. I hope Benny's good. Gabe, Singleton is the man. Alex Singleton is the man, and I'm really rooting for him. Easy guy to root for. Hope he keeps on bringing it to practice and earns even more reps. I mean, all he was your leading tackler last year. That's all. Just that's it. He was just your leading tackler last year. Come on, no, that's it. No big deal. That's when my audio went out. Henry, what's happening? Matt, what's popping? Oh, you heard the cough? Yeah, you probably heard the cough. Yeah. Like I said, slight. I'm never sick, but I feel like for like the last 3 months I've been sick, and I'm not that guy. I'm not about that. I'm not about that sick life. My immune system is my immune system is usually on steroids. What else do we have? April. Good morning, April. Yeah, what a baseball weekend. Sean saying if Nola picks it up, we're all next level. I love that term, next level. It's getting thrown around a lot in the chat. And the Phillies have been next level as of late. April in the house. Everyone's excited whenever April enters the room. Lester Howard, peep the comments on Twitter. Apparently Murphy owes some people jackets. You know what? I saw that from our old friend, my old friend Ruin Today. Joe, I believe he's changed his stuff too. Oh, is that what's the problem? I have some. There we go. You know, first day back in studio. That's the ceiling. Man, for the people on the comments, or the people that are on the here's what's happening, folks. I'm trying to fix things on the fly, and it's not working. It's not working, and I'm hoping that this makes it work again. There it goes. This is fun. All right. It's better now. Hey Mark, what's your favorite strain out there? now it's yeah, basically the ceiling of the studio, it looks like someplace what's his name? Buffalo Bill would be from Silence of the Lambs, and slowly telling people it puts the lotion on its skin or it gets the hose again. Alex checking in and saying that was the nightmare angle for two girls at Temple in college with Marc. Come on! That's a recycled line. That's a recycled line. Although it's slightly upgraded with the nightmare. Or two girls. So that's kind of you. I appreciate that. So anyway, POV. Julian. Oh, we're all having fun here. We're all having fun. Let's see here. April, good Lord. Yeah, that was horrifying. And just know I was scared too. That's all I'll tell you. Doubled your total. Don't be putting us Temple. We're having fun on the program today, folks. We're having fun. First day back in studio, and I apparently forgot how all the buttons work over a week in Colorado. I will tell you, we are getting a new set. That is happening very soon. Very soon. Maybe next week we'll roll out the new set. Depends on a couple of things that we're using for our background that will hopefully come in time. What else do we have? I think I pretty much got all the comments here. Mark, what's your favorite strain out there? I got that. Producer Jim's too busy babysitting Sealski's kids. No, it's not. It's got nothing to do with Jim. It's all me. I'm an idiot. Sounding like a female talking about me in college. What? Too ginormous? How about Dan Baker? How about Dan Baker? Where is Benny? But for real, where is Benny? Family program. You're damn right. April. William. Farzy has too many, quote, good friends. You know where I think that comes from? I think it comes from me being a huge Letterman fan. And it was always a good friend. My good friend, Charles Grodin, whatever. That was always what he would say. And I think I picked up on that with a lot of introductions. You got any go? But that's kind of where I think I got that from. I have two small children in here. Dante, I apologize for that angle. My apologies. Just tell them it was Ursula. April, great. The Little Mermaid reference. Which, by the way, my daughter, who turns 2 today. Today's my daughter's birthday. She turns 2 years old. Little Manuela, little toots. She turns 2 today. She's all about Little Mermaid right now. Loves Little Mermaid. She's transitioning out of Toy Story and into Little Mermaid. So that's happening. And she calls the Little Mermaid movie, she calls Little Mermaid Daddy. Can I watch Daddy? Because Ariel always says Daddy when she's talking about King Triton. At least that's literally why my daughter calls it Daddy. And I like to think, though, it's because I have such a strong resemblance due to my muscular physique, as you guys saw with my full-length shots in Colorado fly fishing. And on a horse, that we have a very similar physical physique, King Triton and I. So that's why I like to think of it. It's T-Bro saying happy birthday, little toots. That's very nice. Oh, you guys are awesome. Yeah, Emanuela turns 2 today. Actually, she turned 2 at 4:30 a.m. So that happened. Little toots turns 2. Quick 2 years, man. I'll tell you, for anyone who's about to be a parent, it's the greatest thing in the history of humanity. I know a lot of people are probably telling you right now, oh, it's so hard. Oh, your life's about to change. Like, yeah, thanks for that information. I'm going to tell you the good thing. It's the greatest thing ever. And it's the greatest thing ever. That's all I'll say. So there you go. Oh, really, April? Buy Disney stuff on Amazon. Okay. Am I now going to get shut off because I just found it? I just told people how to find things cheaper. Disney things cheaper. The Disney people going to come after me now? Oh, you can't tell people where to get our stuff for sale. Anyway, so there you go. Thanks to all the people. Great seeing you guys on the chat, and glad you guys can see me from every angle during the show today. So there you go. Appreciate everyone on the chat. The social media check-in brought to you by Steak and Maid and steakandmaid.com. Oh, you know what? There was some Sealski references in there, so just one more time.
Dan and everybody in the chat, I am not an animal.
There you go. You know the deal. All right. Earlier in the show, this is, by the way, our Morning Rush brought to you by Sky Motorcars and SkyMotorcars.com. Earlier in the show, I showed you this clip that Steve Cohen, new owner of the Mets, just visited the players in the clubhouse. This is before yesterday afternoon's game. They are ready and in a good frame of mind for this game. Guess what? No, they weren't, because they only got 2 hits and they only walked once against Zack Wheeler in his complete game shutout. So how about them apples? Well, how about Zack, or how about Pete Alonso and the state of mind that he's in? Imagine, ladies and gentlemen, the Phillies get beat. They get swept. They get knocked out of first place. And imagine someone like Bryce Harper or Rhys Hoskins or JT Realmuto delivering this speech to you after the game. Here's Pete Alonso post-game.
There's certain times in the process where you know you're doing the right thing. You know you're on the right path, but you're just not getting the tangible results. So Mets fans, believe in us. And don't just believe, know. Because there's tough times, not just in baseball, but in life in general. Know that this is just a speed bump and a challenge. And also smile. You get to watch baseball, even though it's a game. I know we have the most passionate fan base in baseball. I know that. And I understand that it's frustrating. It's frustrating for us, but just understand that we're here together. We're all in this together, and we got this. We got this. Just smile and just know that we got this.
What? Hey, guys, it's going to be okay. Hey, guys, stay with us. Hey, guys, believe in us. Brian Brennan, who is a producer over at NBC Sports Philadelphia, had a great response to that. And it was, of course, the whole thing by Pete Alonso, and then it was Ron Burgundy. I don't believe you. And I thought that was a perfect response. And Pete Alonso kind of reminded me, again, in my late night television warped mind, it kind of reminded me of Stuart Smalley. Remember that sketch from Saturday Night Live? Do you remember that sketch? Because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me. That's what Pete Alonso reminded me of last night. Watching that video, I couldn't believe what I was watching. I was like, what is that? And I thought about it. I was like, all right, hold on. Don't be a homer for a second. Instead, just put yourself in the shoes of a Mets fan. And at first, if I was a Mets fan, the first thing I'd have to do is wake up. How about that? How about these people that fell asleep during the game, much like the Mets bats? Am I right? Those fans were in the stands yesterday, and NBC cameras caught them while they were taking a little nappy poo. Thanks to Zack Wheeler putting their offense to sleep yesterday. But in all seriousness, put yourself in the shoes of a Mets fan, wake up for a second, and Pete Alonso's delivering that speech. Is that an Aaron Rodgers type of relax type of moment? Is that a Jimmy Rollins, not really comparable because it was the beginning of the season, we're the team to beat type of moment? Which, by the way, people forget. A lot of people didn't take that well when Jimmy Rollins said we're the team to beat. I loved it, but I was in the minority when Jimmy Rollins said that, and I was in the minority of saying that I loved it. I love that finally somebody on the Phillies, despite not making the playoffs since 1993, had some swag about them. But the Mets fans, are you hearing that and going, oh, yeah, they're going to be fine? Or are you thinking the sky is falling? Because if I'm a Mets fan today, the sky's falling. Phillies just kicked your ass. Phillies still have the easiest schedule from this point out for the rest of the season. Yeah, guess what? I ain't feeling too good. And that's the way Pete Alonso, who, by the way, he was on one of my favorite shows, Meat Eater. And I really liked him on Meat Eater. But anyway, on that, I thought it was dumb. Let's get to that Joe Girardi comment I told you about, talking about him getting emotional on Roy Halladay Day. If you haven't seen it yet, here it is.
He gave up a double in the first. He got out of it, and he gave up a single in the ninth. And on a day that you honor one of the greatest pitchers that I've witnessed pitch, he goes out, and it was like Roy had his hand on him. He gives a Roy Halladay appearance today.
Oh, boy, who's chopping onions? How do you not? It's like one of those things where if I see somebody cry, and it's like a beautiful moment, like remembering the life of Roy Halladay, and someone pitching similarly to the way that we saw Roy Halladay pitch. And by the way, some more crazy stuff. Yesterday was Zack Wheeler's. If I got this off my old friend Dave Uram, who now works for KYW, 34 start yesterday, and of course the Phillies retired number 34. Zack Wheeler goes the distance yesterday. So many times that we saw Roy Halladay do. A complete game shutout and just a dominant performance on a day where they retire Roy Halladay's 34, and also retiring 22 batters consecutively. First Phillies pitcher to do that since Roy Halladay's perfect game in Miami in 2010. Just unbelievable. Baseball's funny. I mean, sports are funny. Life is funny. But like Joe Girardi just said, it was like Roy Halladay had his hand on Zack Wheeler yesterday. And Zack Wheeler even said after the game that he went out there and tried to give a Roy Halladay type performance, and that's exactly what he did. It was pretty incredible. But you see Joe Girardi talking about it like that and getting emotional, and you can't help get a little emotional yourself when you hear these grown men, these tough guy type guys. I mean, if you watch Joe Girardi's career, he was a tough catcher, man. He was a tough SOB type of catcher, and definitely emotional when talking about it yesterday. It was definitely something worth watching. That's for sure. Zach saying Angels in the outfield type vibes. Maybe. You used to be Mel Clark? Yeah, kid. I used to be. But anyway, that was a pretty special day yesterday, all things considered. I'm thinking about it from every perspective here, just as a fan of these sports and fan of these games. Again, you had an incredible day if you're a Philadelphia sports fan. You had an incredible day because you had that great performance from the Phillies, solidifying their spot in first place, and then you can walk across the street and go see the Eagles practice at Lincoln Financial Field for their 10th training camp session. That's great as well. I couldn't be happier with where Phillies are right now. I couldn't be happier with what's going on with the Eagles, and hopefully this will only continue as far as the Phillies go, because as I was talking about with Murph, who joined us earlier, there's just a different type of buzz. There's something about walking into a baseball game, knowing your team's about to take it to the other team. I don't know if it's because you're talking about 3.5 hours. I don't know what it is. I don't know if you're talking it's because you're looking at 162 games, or if you know that 162 games is coming down to the wire, more or less. Like when you have 2 months left in a baseball season, your team's two games up in first place right now on the Braves, another division rival, obviously. It just feels different. There's something about that. Like there's games where you could go to with the Sixers and the Flyers where you feel like you have that buzz in the atmosphere. Celtics are in town, Knicks are in town, maybe LeBron's in town, or Steph Curry and the Warriors, whoever it might be. Like there's limited things like that. But in baseball, when it's a pennant race and it's the last 2 months of the season and your team is just getting into first place, it's a whole different buzz. And I remember at a lot of different times when Roy Halladay starts, on Cliff Lee starts. More on Cliff Lee in just a second. I remember so many other times in other sports or in other avenues with the Phillies where it felt like whenever that pitcher was pitching, it felt like whatever game was being played in a pennant race, that buzz was in the atmosphere. It feels like it's definitely returned at Citizens Bank Park. And I love that right now with the Phillies. By the way, Zack Wheeler yesterday. That was just watching him pitch, to get away from Roy Halladay for a second and talk about that other pitcher, Cliff Lee. Cliff Lee's game one of the World Series against the Yankees was the most fun I've ever had watching a pitcher pitch. Roy Halladay, I've certainly seen guys more dominant. His perfect game is no hitter, obviously. But just in terms of the way he pitched that game, the caught fly ball, the behind the back catch that he had in that game, and how dominant he was on the hill in general. That was the most fun I've ever had watching a pitcher pitch. Yesterday, that was second. Watching Zack Wheeler's performance yesterday with the way he was fielding his position as well, watching him go out for the at-bat late in that ball game when people thought, maybe, is Joe Girardi going to take him out? Is Joe Girardi going to take him out? And he didn't take him out. He left him in. And then after the game said he would have let him pitch like 150 pitches. If that was the case. It was great. That was so much fun watching Zack Wheeler yesterday. I highly recommend. If you missed the game for whatever reason yesterday, just try to find the extended highlights maybe and just enjoy what Zack Wheeler was doing out there on the mound. Ladies and gentlemen, I will be back with you guys tomorrow now that I relearned all the buttons and all that stuff, how to run my damn studio again. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow. We will have that fine horse video for you. I know you guys have been waiting with bated breath on that. So we'll make sure we get that to you. My thanks again to the Nasty Knuckles bunch, including Neil Little for filling in for me on Friday. I hope you guys enjoyed some of the content that I gave you out there while I was in Colorado, enjoying vacation. I can't wait to get back fly fishing. Can't wait to get back on that horse. And just basically, I hope I do that after a Phillies World Series parade. How about that? Another one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. My thanks to Jim Hyden, who produced the program. This is a Buzz Sports and Entertainment production. My name is Marc Farzy. I'll be back with you guys tomorrow here from the Steven Singer Studios. Have a great rest of your day. Oh, yeah. See you tomorrow on a fine Tuesday morning. Take it easy, everybody.